Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today, I am joined by the wonderful Ryan Null. He is the author of the Flare Chronicles, which is an epic tale of three companions discovering mysteries, twists, and turns in the midst of an impending war. So thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell us a little bit more about your book?
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So there is Into the Blaze is number one, and then Into the Shadows is number two. If you like D&D or Lord of the Rings, it's definitely up that realm. More or less, the evil god Merkra, she was banished in the last war they had, and then now she's trying to come back from the underworld. So she's sending her evil minions, kind of to disrupt Azerin. The Black Dragons, the evil dragons, are coming back, and it's really a turning point for the world of Azerin. So I do have lots of twists and turns, and I've been known for cliffhangers and surprises. So people hate it or love it, but it's something I'm pretty good at. So if you like that kind of thing, and I created my own race of dragons, my own magic language, my own castles. I make my own maps. Made a huge kind of 24 by 36 realm of Azerin. It covers two ages. It doesn't cover the first age. So yeah, it's a lot of big things going. I partner with local communities and local bookshops. I've got a sixth grader doing the prequel covers and a journal written from Daniel. And the half of it's written for me. The other half's written from my mom, from a mother's perspective, because guys have no idea about having kids and going through pregnancy and all that good stuff. uh,
Love that.
but I do like to give
That is
back, so
That's awesome. So you said a sixth grader.
it is. So I gave out about 200 books for the reading marathon during the summer reading marathon this year, and
Mhm.
I went and spoke to the fifth graders last year, kind of beginning of the year, and
Mhm.
they was really inspired. They really enjoyed me being there. I drew stick figures and all kinds of other stuff for the class, and the teacher was really appreciative. This one girl was really, she really caught my eye and attention because she said she had dyslexia. So she was like, "Can I ever be a writer?" And I'm like, "You can be whatever you want to be. Dream big and definitely shoot for your goals and don't let anyone tell you different." So when I gave these books out, her mom approached and was like, "Hey, my daughter really loves your series. Can we have one?" And it's kind of a full circle for me. So because I went over there and come to find out, her dad, I went to school with him. He was a year older than me, um, and in high school. So it kind of
Oh my goodness.
completed that circle, and um, he was talking about the military and going in the military, and he did join. But he was kind of one of the few that believed I'd be a writer someday in high school and believed in me. So for me, it's just a great honor to give back to the community and local and complete that circle by his daughter doing the illustrations because she's really good. And she
Wow.
started showing me all this stuff, and I was like, hey, like this is good. You should pursue this. So I just wanted to give back, and give someone the opportunity that I didn't have when I was growing up, to follow their passion and their dreams. So that's really
Awesome.
what I try to do.
Oh, that is so cool. That is really, really cool. Hang on one second. My eye is like totally raining now. Let me just get it down. I don't know what's wrong. There's like
It's
someone's
okay.
burning something outside and it's making my eye crazy.
It's fall
It's
time,
like
so it's
really bad
okay.
allergy.
I mean, my
I'll
younger
edit
two
that.
boys, yeah, my younger two boys dealt with allergies all their whole life growing up. I mean, they still have allergies, so I get it. It's okay.
It's always at like the worst time. Like I had an interview like a month ago, and right as I was going live with this author, my eyes just started to run, and I was like, why? Why? So it was Anyway, but I can edit that part out. Okay, so is there a scene during this story that made you really laugh or like had a really profound, without giving spoilers, moment that you're like, I love this, that you can tell us
Um, man, I really enjoyed writing all of it. I never get writer's block. That's something about me. I've written a 600 spicy romancy series this year in 2 months. I've written probably 4 short stories. I've written prequels. I mean, I've written quite a few manuscripts just this year because I don't get writer's block. I really enjoy writing and telling stories, and I've always been a storyteller kind of at heart. Even to my wife when she was pregnant with my oldest. So that's just kind of been what
about.
I've been known for. Um, I will say that the series stands for hope and inspiration, and I really try to stress that
Mm-hmm.
because in the world that we're kind of living, and it can be rough, it can be hard, and it can be uncertainty, and all those doubts. There is a character for someone in each and every part of the book that you can put yourself in, and you can say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to them." You know, um, I try to
Yeah.
make my characters relatable to the fact that you can put yourself in their shoes and you can go. A big part of it has been Daniel. So one of the trios, his name's Daniel. He was named after my younger brother Daniel, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been a kind of a humbling moment, I guess you'd say, because I got to watch him grow up to the man he is today. But if you read the stories from beginning to end, you see that young prince at 16, leaving his home, trying to find his identity, trying to find his heritage and history, and then everything he goes through between, being burnt, between torn apart, battles and stabbed and all this good stuff. He really kind of
Yeah.
turns into the man that he is. So for me, it's been I guess, kind of a humbling moment for me because I get to see, him grow up to be the man he never was, he is, but not only in the books, but also in real life.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, well, since you've created a world and a map, that's so cool. I love map making. It is so much fun, especially with rice. Um, is there any town or villages within your story that you would live and why?
I would say I would live in Solus because not only does it have an awesome looking port, but it is the home of the legendary creatures like Pegasus. You've got legendary dragons. It is the home of where the princesses of mages they go to learn magic and their skill. And I've always loved magic. I've always been kind of a magic and dragon person. So for me, to wake up and see the mystical creatures flying around, and the griffins and all that kind of thing. That would be super cool. I think just being the average peasant or average mage. Trying to earn his robes.
That's cool. I love that. I love dragons. I have a huge dragon tattoo on my upper arm, so I'm all about dragons. I love that. So, what character was the hardest out of your main characters for you to write?
Wow, the hardest. That's a tough one. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I've never really had writer's block. I will say Trisha, the main trio, she wasn't really the hardest, but she was a person that I haven't seen in a long time since I was, in high school when I wrote the first book in high school. So, from that perspective, I kind of had to use my imagination when writing book 2 and 3. of where I pictured she was today, because I haven't seen her in like 20 years. So I hope at some point through this whole journey, I get to find her and see her and just say, "Hey, thanks for being a important part of my life in some way or form." And you got a person named after you in the book, so that's pretty cool. um,
Oh, that's awesome. So Daniel is based off of your brother, and then she's based off of someone else that you went to high school with. So each
w-
character kind of has like a backstory in real life,
yeah, so those two did. So
kind of.
I actually dated Trisha. She was a nice girl, but the world, she just kind of seen the dark side of the world, and but she
Mm-hmm.
was really good. She was just good at hiding it and showing it because she didn't want to be hurt again. So she, protected herself as most people did. But I got to see the inner side of her, the good side of her. And the rest of the characters I just kind of use like characteristics of people that I've seen or read about or heard, that kind of thing. But those are the main two that were from like personal experience that I grew up with or that was a part of my life in some way or form.
Okay, that's awesome. So, is there a side character that you have where they're constantly in your ear to the point where you feel like you might have to write their story?
So there is I'll give you a name because I can't give too many spoilers until you read book 2 Into the Shadows, but um his name is Andres, and he is a dwarf. And
Okay.
uh, for me, it kind of held a personal, relatable, character for the fact that
Mm-hmm.
he kind of felt an outsider from his home, where his clan of dwarfs lived at. So he ventured off to himself to build his nice little home in the mountains and the hills, away from kind of his main. And he was a merchant. He was good at crafting things and building things. He loved kind of the simplicity of life, and so for me, it was really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable telling him that, because we've got chickens, we live in the country. Um, it's always kind of been me and my wife and our kids. I mean, we've kind of always done our own thing. And um, I knew from an early age that I was meant to be just different than the average Joe, I guess, out there. What people would say, and I always have followed my own path, even though it hasn't been the conventional one or what most people would do or take. I've um, I've always followed my own path, and he was a fun character to write, not only because he's a dwarf and dwarfs are super cool and crafty and they're really good, but I mean he's got that kind of loner presence, um and he's just kind of done everything himself. So for me, he was like really relatable. Now there is another character which I won't say because it's kind of a pivotal part of the whole story. Um, but
Okay.
she ends up
But we have,
becoming.
as we're reading it, we'll
Yes, yep, you
okay.
got to read it. So she does end up becoming his kind of sidekick, and I thought of kind of how me and my wife's relationship was, and yeah, we kind of nag each other and we'll laugh and play, and we may have our ups and downs and that, but at the end of the day, we're kind of that best friend that, I mean, she's really the only best friend I've really had at true kind of at heart through thick and thin. Um, and we've been married 15
Mm-hmm.
years now. So, there is another kind of side character that I thought, this would be fun to kind of add as kind of his best friend. Maybe not at first, they kind of clash, but maybe he's like, it just sucks being lonely after so long or by myself. Maybe it's good to have someone else. And I kind of did like a comedy kind of thing. Um, so far, people really
Mm-hmm.
love it. I've gotten rave reviews from book 2. They say it's the best in the series so far.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned, because I'm new to D&D. My best friend, her son is the dungeon master, and he actually created a campaign for us. So I am a dragonborn uh, sorceress. So if you were playing D&D, what characters do you usually lean towards?
So I have not played. Hold on 1 minute. I'm sorry. There you go. The audio's kind of like cutting out a little bit. So I haven't played D&D in a long time, but oh,
Let's see. It might be catching up.
am I there?
Let's
Oh my
see.
goodness. Am I there?
I think you froze. Oh wait, are you back? Okay, you're back. I can hear you now.
All right. There you go. Well, the audio cut out, so I
Okay.
connected to the Wi-Fi because it's like the picture was blurry and the audio was really like echoing.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Um so I haven't played D&D for a long time, but when I did play, and I played a lot of like fantasy games and things like that, I've always loved
Mm-hmm.
the magician or the elf. And I don't know why, but I've
Mm-hmm.
always kind of had this fascination with bows and archery, the woods, the magic, and that kind of thing. So that's been more of a like a supporting class member is what I would be. I love D&D. Just having kids and being married and everything else, adulting kind of takes a lot of time. So I haven't got to,
Yeah,
yeah.
you should play with your family. We're doing it with our kids. Our daughters and her son are he like I said we're doing like the five of us, so it's definitely fun. It's I've never played it before, so it's my first time. So, but I used to play World of Warcraft. I'm probably dating myself. But that was my thing. I was always playing that game. So,
Well, I remember when it came out, I was so excited because I had played Warcraft 2, and a lot of people don't remember Warcraft 2, but it's old. I mean, it was like 95, 98. Um and then Warcraft 3 and then the Frozen Throne, and that was some of the best games at the time. But then instead of like Warcraft 4, they came out with World of Warcraft. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? We have dial up internet, and I don't know if you remember dial up internet, but it was horrendous.
it was bad.
Yeah, so that was what I played WoW on originally, until I got to the point where Dad's like, "Hey, you can't be connecting, and hogging up the phone lines and stuff. So you're gonna have to find a different game to play, or we're gonna have to have better internet because this ain't working out."
Yeah, exactly. And it would like crash right during a campaign or something. And yeah, it was always the worst timing when it would go off. But yeah. Okay, so you also said you like Lord of the Rings. So I'm guessing you like the dwarves or maybe the elves, but am I wrong? Or who's your favorite character in that series?
Ooh. Honestly,
I
I
know it's
like.
like telling you to pick your favorite.
Yeah, I mean I really enjoyed the whole series. Now I will say that I read The Hobbit. It was super good. I read it a lot when I was younger, actually. And then when they made the Lord of the Rings, I remember dragging my dad to the theaters because I was like, "Hey, you got to watch this," because we watched a lot of that. And he was like, "This is new. I've never heard of it." I'm like, why? This is good stuff." Um, to the point to where when we watched number 3, The Return of the King, he actually fell asleep because it was so long. I mean, he was just passed out at the movie theater snoring. But yeah, I really enjoyed all of it. I mean, I don't think I had a favorite character in there. Again, I've always been partial to the elves or the dwarves. That's just kind of been me. But I do think there's a story to be told in each character in Lord of the Rings movie. And I mean, just look at Frodo. I mean, he was incredibly brave, leaving everything he had known. And granted, some of it wasn't his choice. He was kind of thrust into that destiny, that path, so to speak. But the whole journey was really brave of him. I mean, because he had nothing to go back to. It was all new. The people was new. The lands was new. Like everything about it was just something new and unique. But he did it. And he didn't have all the answers, but he kept moving on. And that's really the really good moral of it, that you got to keep moving on. So, um, I don't know. I enjoyed it very thoroughly. All the characters.
Yeah. So with writing, you said you always wanted to be a writer. So was there some book or somebody, like a teacher or your parent, somebody that really like fostered that in you?
There was. So I try to dedicate my stuff, my anything I write, and really me being a writer, to my eighth grade teacher. So her name was Miss Newton. She passed away because of
Mhm.
breast cancer, but to this day, I really speak highly of her. I hope she's looking down, kind of happy of what I've done and where I've been, because without her, it started out with an eighth grade assignment. So she challenged us to write something unique that was original, that no one had read before, that wasn't out there. And I was reading like 300 to 400 books every year in middle school and fifth grade and high school. I read a lot of books. I love books. And I love reading and literature, and that kind of thing. And so I had a big fan of medieval knights and dragons and elves and dwarfs and all this good stuff. So I actually wrote one of the prequels to the Flare Chronicles Into the Blaze, and it won
Mhm.
first place. Then she pulled me aside after class and said, "Hey, you should write for a living. Like you would be good at it." And I'm like, I'm eighth grade. I don't know what I want to do when I get 18 and an adult. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make it through school. So she was
Yes.
like, yeah, like, but she was like, no, you should do it. So I wrote another prequel to Brock Tree, which I've got to expand on it and things like that to make it a novel, because it's just really a short story right now. And she loved it. She loved it so much that she had a meeting with my dad. My dad's a tool and die maker. He's been that way all his life, so he doesn't read. God help him, he's more like a hands-on kind of guy, working with metal and dies and tools. And he was like, I don't know about this. I've never heard of a writer making a living or money. You got to like do the traditional path of things, I guess. And she was like, no, he's got this skill. He should continue it because he's really good at it. So he gave the manuscript to a friend of his that wrote poetry and was editor for I think, a newspaper. Um, and
Mhm.
she was not liking it. She did not say anything good about it. It needed a lot of work and this. And so I was like, well, maybe not. I went back to Miss Newton and I said, I don't think you're right, because I mean, I've got someone that writes for a living and they're saying this is like garbage, more or less. Um, but she believed in it so much that she pursued me to write Into the Blaze all through high school. So there are a lot of times I'd be, Word wasn't popular back then, and without good internet, you had to use Notepad. So that's what I um, did. And all through high school, I told everyone I was going to be a writer, and I was writing. And she kept pushing and pushing, and she really believed in me. So I just have a lot of respect for teachers and what they do. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be kind of where I am. I wouldn't started along this journey, and like my wife wouldn't have found the manuscripts and started editing in a free time, being a stay at home mom. And all that kind of thing. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for
That's
teachers.
that's awesome. So dad now obviously gets it. Hopefully. I hope.
Not real, not really.
No? Oh,
No.
well, he'll get there. He'll get there. Let's see. I have my question. I have a two screen, so on the side of my question. So if I'm looking over here, that's why I'm trying to scroll down because we've been talking and I'm like, oh, we talked about that. Let's see. Okay. So you said you do cliffhangers. So in your story as a whole, how important is it to you to have it end on a happy ending? Or do you prefer to deviate and kind of heartbreak us and leave us hanging from a cliff?
So I love how you worded it carefully to heartbreak everyone. That's funny. Um,
That's
I
usually
mean,
what happens.
yeah, I'm pretty good at heartbreaks, so it really for me, it's just how the story flows. So I never I never write something with the intention of, like, hey, what is it gonna be? I
Mhm,
do try to write like purposely, so each chapter I try to write purposely, and have a meaning, and something people can take away from it. Now,
mhm.
there was a lot of things that writing the book 2 and 3 especially that, I'm pretty good plotter, so I plot out the lands and things like that. But it really didn't go that way that way as planned.
I
Especially
was going to ask you that if you were a planner or a pantser. So,
yeah, so it's weird. So traditionally, like, most people will build a map and they'll plot the whole series out, and when it's all plotted out, then they're like, all right, I can write, 1 through 6 or whatever the case may be. I have a tendency of write book 1 and then I build the map around what I written in book 1, and then from there I write book 2 and 3 or whatever is in the series, or the prequels or anything like that. Um, and I try not to leave at a cliffhanger. It hasn't happened so far. People's been really anxious to wait for book 2 because the cliffhanger at book 1, it just kind of left people like, oh my gosh, what happened? I need to know more. Like, I need to finish this. So they've been waiting kind of a
yes.
long time. um, yeah, and in book 2, I try not to be such, I guess, merciless, with people. But it's kind of a bigger cliffhanger. But I do wrap it all up in book 3, so everything will get answered in the third book.
All right.
um,
We just have to bear with you.
you
Um,
do, yep.
do you enjoy writing the villain, or is that a little bit harder to get in the mindset and portraying what you need to portray versus your, protagonist and different characters in your story?
I, so it's so I am a very kind, a very nice guy. My wife will tell you I'm a very good bluffer. That is not true because she knows me better than anyone else. But I do kind of have that cynical root for the underdog kind of guy. Like, I'm still kind of stuck in that age of my life where I am a family man, that kind of thing, but I mean, you give me a good bar fight and hey, I'm there, I mean, I'm kind of that that in between guy that I'm trying not to be the past or the present. But so for me, it's really fun writing the villain because most people try to be good in some sense or way, but
Yeah.
they, it doesn't always happen that way. Their intentions or their motives or that. So it's
Hmm.
interesting to write kind of a villain and write it kind of that cynical way, but also like you're just smiling and laughing behind the scenes, thinking, ha ha ha, like someone's been in that guy's shoes and done that exact same thing. They're not going to admit it, but they've been that guy at some point or that girl at some point. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's that kind of cynical in there. Now, I do try to, I am very humble and I do try to help in that. But like I said, I'm definitely, definitely the first person that I'd be kind of cheering in a bar fight for the underdog, or rooting in the chicken fight or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Do you consume any art while you're writing, whether it be music or, like a mood board or any kind of ambiance that you set for yourself to get you in the right mindset for writing your story?
so typically I listen to music. Music really helps me focus and it helps kind of wrap my head around what I'm thinking. Now, a lot of times I'll kind of close my eyes like I'm meditating. And then generally my wife is like, "What are you doing?" Because I look like I'm praying or something, but that kind of weird look. And I'm like, I'm thinking through, how I want, like I can vividly imagine the scene I'm writing and the land I'm at, and the music helps, but I try to place myself in that shoes. And that's what I always loved about books is that the world can be crazy out there, but you can read a book and you can be a dragon rider, or you can be a king or a princess or a queen, or the villain kind of going ooh la la, or anyone you want to be, and the sky's the limit. It's just your imagination that kind of limits you who you want to be in that book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Is there a book or like your most, obviously, because you said you read a lot, your most recent read, was there a book that you couldn't put down that's like one that you've really enjoyed recently?
So so, so I have a lot of it's like bookish engagement stuff on Instagram, is what really has been going. And generally what I tell people is, and this is, I get a chuckle every time I tell people this, because if they know me, they're like, "Well, that doesn't seem you at all," but okay. Um it'll be a mix between my wife's Twilight, um her book Twilight books, and 50 Shades of Grey, and then Dragonlance. So I wasn't really like a huge 50 Shades of Grey kind of fan until I got drugged to the movie theaters by my wife, because she said, it was a date night, it's a Valentine's movie, we got to go see it, of course. And I went to that movie theater and then started watching it, and I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of good. I'll get it. And then you fast forward to the last one, and we've seen all of them in theaters. We've got all the movies, and we actually enjoy it. And I've always enjoyed Dragonlance books myself. I've got about 86 or so. I've got a lot out of the 300 there's out. Oh,
Wow. That's a big collection. That's awesome.
it is. So we've got about 5 bookcases of books scattered throughout the house. We love books.
That's great. Yeah, I just took my daughter to the library today to just do a project, and she went to go see if there was references. And I was talking to the librarian, and I was like, I think I have like over 1,000 books, so I think I'm considered a library now. Like when you like, if you hit that in your collection, because my kids alone have 5 bookshelves. That's not even my books. So that was, so I'm like that too. I love books. I love them. So let me go
That's a
down
lot. I mean,
here. So when you, yes,
yeah, we love books too. So,
yeah, I'm definitely a book dragon. So do you make like a mood board or like draw out yourself, like draw out character images or pictures to help you with your writing?
No, so typically I have like a master Excel sheet that's like huge. I mean, it's got a bunch of tabs for every continent, and then every tab it's got every river, every mountain, every hill, really in detailed
Hmm.
every food item, every shovel, whatever the case may be that happens there. And then it helps
Hmm.
with this massive map to keep everything kind of aligned. And then I do have like Word documents that have possible like character names, descriptions, towns, castles, swords, like that. And generally, I try to do that after the map's built. Then I, kind of do that with anything I ever written. And from there, I can kind of pull names or whatever the case and kind of build it with it correlating with the map.
Okay. That's really incredible that you have it down to that, so fine tuned, um, for items that you'll find there, like for bartering and trade. That's like really cool. That's like a legitimate whole world that you've created with that. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, I
That is
always
really awesome.
love making like sandboxes, and Dragonlance really sparked it for me because I don't know if you've seen the map for the Dragonlance, but it's massive. I mean, they've got this huge map with all these races and characters and lands, and when I was reading it growing up, even now, I thought, I could do the same thing. And if someone can do that, and make it their
Yeah.
own and have their own kind of realm, you could write 300 books. So that's, if it ever goes right, that's my plan to publish 300 books in that realm of Azerin. So,
That's awesome. That's really great. So, have you been celebrating your milestones of having the books out and different things that happen to you? Like, you have to share after you answer this question about your UK things that you were talking about earlier. But how do you celebrate the milestones?
I've never been. I don't know. I just really try to stay humble in all of it. If I can take care of my family and I can provide a roof over their head and food in their stomach and pay my bills, at the end of the day, if I can do that and I can change someone's life and make a difference in the world and make a positive impact, for me, that's all I need. I've never been the guy in the spotlight or wanting the spotlight. I've never been that type of guy. So, um, I mean, if I get a night with my family to tickle my boys or talk to my older boy, about church or work, or we get to watch a movie together, I get to tuck him in bed and pray to him. To me, that's a celebration and a gift because every day is, a blessing. You just never know what could happen every day. So I don't really party much or that. Now, I mean, if there was a party bar or something I was drinking, then hey, I'll root for that guy. But I don't go out drinking much.
Well, not in the
So
sense of like party, but like, you've written this book. Like, that's a huge accomplishment. So I know like some authors, one author that I talked to, her husband buys a little figurine that she loves to collect. And so for each book she publishes, it's a different figurine. But just something to like mark the occasion that you did this amazing thing. You wrote a book.
no, I mean, honestly, I just try to stay humble and spend time with my family and pray and go to church and yeah, that's really to me, I set out to write books to make a difference in the world and to change lives. The money is just something that helps provide for my family and lets me do what I love doing in storytelling and meeting people and engaging and like I've got a pet dragon now named Draco. He kind of sits on my, but he's not here, but he normally sits on my shoulder right here and the kids love it. People light up and they love seeing a pet dragon at events and that kind of thing. So it's a cool little thing to do.
Good. I like that. That's very good. Okay, so you just got back from the UK. We were talking about it before we started recording, and you had some exciting news. So for any of you that are in the UK, I'm going to hand it over to you now. So
Yep. So I talked to 5 bookstores. Emailed and reached out to all of them. One in particular, though, in Elephant and Castle, called the Elephant Bookstore. It carries. I met with Tom, the owner and the manager. It carries 2 books. And then I got to meet a agent slash writer slash author. There you go, of Kingsley Publishing House, and I gave her some books. We had a great conversation. She really loved what I was doing. And then there was a independent indie director and producer. I think I'm going to butcher the names, so if he's listening, I hope they forgive me out there because I'm terrible at names. But I want to say Jarvis, and I could be wrong. I can tell you how it's spelled, but he really loved. We had a really detailed, long conversation, and he loved what I was doing. I gave him some books, so he's one to write a movie script for it. You know, it might be a series or might be like a YouTube short kind of thing. And then I met another girl named Stacy that helps authors, and she was really excited about the books I gave her. And that I met some influencers. I've got some contacts over there, so I met a lot of bookish people. We had a really great time at the networking, the gala. London's definitely a whole different world than America, but it was very cool to see, and all the history and stuff too.
that's awesome. That's so cool. That's so exciting. So if you're in the UK, you can find his books at the bookshops there. So definitely check that out. Um, has there been a moment during this writing journey that has made you feel really proud?
I would definitely say more times than not that I've just seen, you know, a couple different moments, but definitely a moment that sticks out is when I've seen a kid or I've seen a person get, you know, they light up and the world just changed because they've got a book or they've read my book. Or I've gone to events even here locally now, and people's like, "Oh, hey, I know you," or "I see your stuff." So that tells me that people seeing it, my name's being kind of circulated around. And you know, it's, I mean, just in a year's time that's happened. And then as I gave the books to the bookstore in UK, and I went back the next day to take a picture, and I thought, wow, I'm in here in London, UK, and I never thought that I would see a bookstore that would carry my books. You know, I'm halfway across the world in the ocean and the sea. If you would have told me that, you know, you would have had last year when I first published or even thought about publishing and just kind of went for the hills and did it, if you would have said, "Hey, Ryan, you're going to be at this place and you're going to be sleeping in a hostel, and you know you're going to meet all these amazing, awesome people at this bookish event and be in a different country and fly and all this stuff," I would have probably laughed and said, "There's no way." But at that moment, you know, it was just like really kind of humbling. Like, wow, this is amazing. Because I wouldn't have thought I would have been, you know, and I never thought I would have been where I was. So between that and just seeing people's lives change and light up when they get to read my book or they know about me or they talk about the book series, to me that um really that's everything, you know, more than what I could ever dreamed of.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So, is there anything that's kind of like your writing kryptonite that you're in the zone and then all of a sudden you get derailed?
Um, no. I don't really get writer's block or anything. The biggest problem I've had
Or just
is yeah, the biggest problem I've had is just time. You know, just having time to do everything. It's a lot, you know. It's not And I remember when I went to a local bookshop close by me, and I started my newsletter, and they're like, I told them, I was like, yeah, I only got a few people, and the owner, which I'm a vice president of the Writers Guild here in Evansville, so we had our meeting tonight, and in that same bookshop, I was kind of reminiscing, and I thought it kind of chuckled to me when he was like, "Oh," he looked up when I told him that, last year, and he's like, "Oh, wait till it's going to be a lot, wait till you get bigger." And I'm just like thinking now, yeah, there's just never enough time in the day to do everything you want to do.
I definitely feel you on that. I wish I could duplicate myself so there's more of me so I can do more things because it gets harder. So, if you could go in the time machine and go back to your younger writing self, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now?
Well, I mean, definitely, stay true to yourself and write all the time. I would tell my younger self just to write nonstop, no matter what happens, just keep writing. And even to the point to where when I had a vehicle and I could, kind of get around by myself and that, I would tell my younger self, hey, go to every library and say, I wrote a book. Anyone that would listen, just blast kind of everyone. Um, because people really rally around local, and support local communities, and people really support that kind of thing. Um, and as it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a cliche, I guess, moment because my oldest boy is a freshman now, in high school. So as I, look back and remember being in high school and that kind of thing. I try to tell him, and I wish I would have told my younger self, enjoy that high school moments, enjoy those little moments when you're young because it just goes just like that when you get older, and kind of the older I get, I try to cherish the small moments with my all three of my boys really, and my wife and just the time. I try to take it slow when I can, and just really soak it all up. And I didn't do that when I was
Yeah.
young. I was I was kind of a workaholic, or I partied or whatever, just always doing something. So, as I get older, I'm looking back and thinking, man, I wish I would have took some more time to soak that up.
Yeah. That's good advice. It is. So, I do have a couple more questions, but I thought we could do a quick this or that, like a speed question. It's fun. So if you will indulge me, would you rather read from a physical book, listen to an audiobook, or an ebook?
A physical book.
Physical book. Okay, so this next question might be painful for you, so I'm sorry in advance. I've been told I'm mean. So, would you rather crack the spine of the paperback or ruin the hardback's dust jacket?
Oh man, that's rough. Ooh. I wouldn't do neither, but if I had to life or death, I guess the first option because the hardbacks are like more treasured, like preserved and put up there than the paperbacks.
I agree. I would crack the spine. I would just break it because I wouldn't want to ruin the dust jacket or anything with the hardback. I'm very much Gollum. I'm like, that's my precious. We can't be ruining that. So, um, would you rather have dinner with your favorite author or your favorite character? Now, it can be your character or any character.
Hmm. I would say favorite. I would say favorite author,
Okay.
because I'd want to see how how they did it. Example, the Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, they wrote Dragonlance off a game scenario. I mean, it was a campaign, and it just turned into something massive, and The author of Redwall, I mean, he was like 70 years old when he published. So just to get that
Wow.
experience, you know, I mean, that would be just amazing.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so would you rather reread your least favorite book every month or never read your favorite book again?
Ooh. I would say reread my least favorite because I love reading in general. So at least then I would still be able to read.
Oh. Would you rather coffee or tea?
I'm a big tea drinker, but I do have coffee on Christmas and a few holiday occasions.
Okay. Would you rather read the book first or watch the movie first?
We definitely read the book. More times than not, the book's better than the movie.
Okay. And then would you rather info dumping on the world slash magic system, or do you like it when it's kind of like drip fed into the story?
I tr- I would say drifted. It's better when it's kind of naturally flown, you know, kind of naturally all meshed together than just a bunch of info.
Okay. And then would you rather a soft magic system or a hard magic system?
Hmm. Definitely the second one.
Hard magic, where it's everything's very defined.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like kind of a structure, but I mean, I do deviate a lot of times from what I had originally written down or planned. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like book three, a lot more people die than what I planned. So,
So you're getting us when we get to book three. Okay, so we'll be prepared. Okay, so the last one is would you rather read a duology, a trilogy, or a standalone?
hmm. I've always been a series lover. Now I have read books that have been duology or just standalone. I mean, I've read those too, but really a series just because I'm better at writing series, especially, you know, it gives you that time to add the characters, to build the characters, to see them kind of grow, I guess, in many senses. So, I've always been a series type of guy.
Okay, all right. So, since your story has a lot of mythical creatures, I always like to ask this of my fantasy writers. If you could be any mythical creature or being, what would you be and why?
I would definitely be my own race of dragons called the Orgamirs. And just because there is
Okay.
a lot of myth and mythology and history behind it, and I've always been a history guy. I love history. Me and my dad actually love is kind of one of the things that we're in common. We always love history. So, um, they're just really cool too. But you know, and they're dragons, so you gotta love dragons.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. Okay. So, what was the hardest type of scenes for you to write in this story? Was it the emotional ones or was it the battle scenes or
Really, for me, it was the battles, just in the sense, especially book three, where you know I have a epic land, aerial, and naval battle, and it wasn't hard in the sense of like what to write. It was just hard in the fact that I wanted to get it perfect. You know, it's the end of the series, that big climax that everyone's been waiting for, that the series kind of pushes towards that final last kind of epic battle. And I've seen a lot of movies, I've written a lot of, you know, I've read a lot of books, and it was just almost like I don't want to butcher this or get this wrong because people that kind of read epic fantasy or they watch fantasy, they're gonna know in a heartbeat, you know, what this is good or just really bad. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really hard, just a lot of pressure to make sure that like I was, if I was a reader or a moviegoer or whatever the case, that it would really be fulfilling of how that scene went. And really
Mhm.
like that, they invested all that time, and by the end of that last battle, they're like, okay, this is definitely worth reading a million times over.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so then on the flip side, what was your favorite types of scenes to write during this book?
Really, the emotional, connecting ones. So, like, people engaging and connecting with other people, that where you see that hope and inspiration, those lives that are changed, and you see the good. Um, the
Hmm.
adventure is fun. I always like a good adventure, but the meaningful impacts, that was definitely a favorite scene. The easiest to write, just because I've always been a people's person. I always like, changing lives and helping other people and that kind of thing. So it kind of fit into very well how I am naturally.
That's great. So with your covers, did you enjoy that process with the designer? With I know you worked with the sixth grader. Did you have like a talk with them about like what you wanted, or you just kind of gave free range? And then did you enjoy like seeing that come to fruition?
Well, she hasn't done the covers yet. She's going to do to the prequels, and the Journal of Daniel. My publisher actually has a guy he paid to do the covers. I didn't really have a lot
Okay.
of say so in that, but the journal that I have worked with her on, for me, it's really been a humbling kind of cool thing to see kind of her ideas, being that young and knowing her potential and what she can do. Two, I've already seen a couple of the pre-designs that I really, really like for it. And she's got a really good
Hmm.
knack for it. So that's been just really cool seeing that process, and seeing her grow and helping her grow in that sense too.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see it. That's so cool. I love that. My daughter is sixth grade, so I just think that that is like really awesome that you're including her and supporting her in her, illustrations and her craft of what she's good at. You're gonna have like a huge impact on her life, I'm sure, going forward from doing that and allowing her that opportunity. So that's really, really cool. So,
Yeah.
in your opinion, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in your opinion, what makes a great story?
Really, I mean, really and this is just my personal opinion, but because there's a lot of great stories, a lot of great authors out there, a lot of stories to be told. Um, I feel personally at the end of the day that if it can change a life, it can, make a difference, it can have a positive impact. And don't get me wrong, there's like spicy romancy, and which I write that too and all that stuff, and that can still uh kind of change a life. I know most people like, well, how does that, but if the main kind of theme of it kind of does that, and you can make a difference with that book, even if it's giving a really enjoyable read that, hey, that person had a hard day at work, and this is kind of their go-to to just to calm down, and their kind of peace moment of peace reading that book. Um, then those are the best books out there, because I mean, you can write a lot of books and you can mimic a lot of books already written, but if it doesn't have an impact, or kind of add something that no one else has seen or done, um, then a
Mhm.
lot of times what happens is you become, just like everyone else. So it's not your uniqueness in that. So again, that's just my personal opinion, but um if you can make a difference, then by all means, you definitely should. And those are the most meaningful things out there in the world that you can do.
Yeah, I agree. I say it often with authors that I've talked to. Case in point, a lot of the authors that I talk to are romance writers. And a lot of the time, they'll have heavier topics that could be considered, trigger warnings and things like that. And the biggest thing I walk away from reading those books a lot of the time is feeling seen, like things that have happened in my life that, I felt alone in. And then that character goes through it, and then they have a different perspective on how they managed it or dealt with it or like stood up for themselves or whatever the scenario is. I feel that like camaraderie and I feel seen, and that I love when books do that. That's like my favorite. So I totally agree with that. Okay, so I have like two more questions. Yeah, I think two, maybe three. I think I have three. Okay. Sorry. So, what is something unique or quirky about you that people maybe don't know, or a hobby?
Um, well, so I would definitely say this would be something that my wife she would be very well at, very good at answering, very much better than me. But um, so when I announced I had written a spicy romancy, I got the biggest kind of like chuckle from everyone that I ever spoke to, because I'm like, people that know me just know that I'm not, like, on the outside, I'm not that type of guy. So it was
Uh huh.
like that kind of like, oh, you did what? Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Excuse me, what those books are kind of known for. I
Uh
even
huh.
had a couple of friends say that, hey, that's awesome, you're doing it. I love supporting you, but I don't know if I could read that book just because that would like completely change my image of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I guess the wild side that only my wife knows, and all the aspects of my that person in my life, that only my wife knows, that would be the biggest
Yeah.
thing. So I was a bit wild when I was young, and I'm still that kind of middle guy, trying to find my place in this crazy world that being an adult is not very fun. That's what was
Yes.
when
No.
we were younger.
Not at all. And we all wanted to be it. We were all like, just wait till we grow up. Wait till we can make
Yeah.
our own decisions and do everything we want to do. We were delusional.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't know what we was talking about at all. No, it's not very fun.
I love that. So, plans for future books. So, we have three books right now. Do you have more planned, or can you say if you have more planned?
So there is some more stuff going on. I can say I did have two novellas being published in Australia next year by a different publisher. I have one now, and then the other one I'm gonna build into a series. At some
Mm-hmm.
point, the Spicy Romancy will come out, and it'll be initial six instead of three. That'll be really thick books, which I built its own little map and world and that kind of thing too, and plan to write 300 books in that realm too. So if I can, get this stuff off the ground, that's kind of my plan. So yes, I hope.
You're giving us a lot to add to our TBR. You're just filling the TBR, so that's always good. I love a good romantasy, so I definitely want to know when that one comes out because that is my favorite like genre. Anything epic fantasy, so like epic fantasy, romantasy, any of that, I love that. That's my realm of reading. I very much love like world building. Like that is my favorite thing ever is the world building because then I feel like I'm there and it's like a vacation. So I love that.
Yeah.
That's where you said like you get an escape. So that is my
Yeah.
that's my thing. I love my kids, but both my kids are on the spectrum. So it can be very intense. all day long. So going to a fantasy land is my little break, my mental break, and just some me time. So that really speaks to me. So I loved that you said that when you were talking about, what makes a great story. So, okay. So my last question for you is, what message do you want readers to take away from after finishing your books?
Really, at the end of the day, it's hope and inspiration, and that's what I really strive to stand upon, and stand for. And I try to give back, like the eighth grade teacher, or the local communities and the local people and the local bookshops that they didn't have to accept me, but they did, and they was excited and want to work together. And people like you that gave a podcast, and all those different people that said, you know what, I'll give you a chance. I don't have to, but I believe in you and what you're doing and what you stand for, and I'm going to give you a chance. So as people read my series, I just want them to know, and I try to kind of weave it in that there's a lot of bad things that happens to, like, Daniel, the main character. I mean, he gets pretty well torched at some point. He's a flaming torch and
Yeah.
burned at some point, but you can look through, and that trio has that hope, inspiration, that no matter what bad happens to them, they're still hopeful. They're still looking at the good. They're still looking at the positive. And I know that we all struggle with something. Even if we don't tell anyone, even if we don't show it, there's something deep inside of us or on our mind that we're struggling with, and we've got a battle going on. And I hope readers take away that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope and there is inspiration. And even if it's hard, never give up. Just keep on going and doing the best you can, and pray, and do be good, because people see it. Even if you don't think so, people see it, and it does all kind of work out how it's supposed to be. It just may not be kind of the conventional path or what you think it's going to work out to. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I love that. Well, I'm very excited to dive into the series, and I thank you so much for coming on and sharing it and giving me the little background, because I love to fully be enveloped in the world. So I love to know how you think and where you came from when you write. So then when I'm reading it, I can see that and hear that. So now I'll think about your brother and the girl from high school and your teacher even. And I just love that. I'm very excited. So
yeah, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure. I really had a lot of fun. So, thank you.
of course. Well, thank you. And so I linked everything below so you guys can find him on social media as well as his website. And then please, if you know anyone that loves fantasy, forward this along to them so they can join us in reading his series. And let me know in the comments below if you have read his series, what you thought. Don't give me any spoilers. I don't like spoilers, but just let me know below. And join me next time as we get another look behind the book. Bye. And